Thank everyone for joining another edition of Straight Talk. This is the 2008 election. 18, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
2018 elections. It's a wonderful time and a powerful time to be in the state of Oregon. If you take a look from the east coast, from the east side to the west side, from north to south, you see huge cranes. So the community is growing. But the question is, where do we go from here? And what are we doing? We have a new mayor, we have a new governor, we have a new police chief, and we have a new Supreme Court justice. But the question is, from the citizens, where do we go from here? We have candidates. They're in the race not only because of the political piece, but they're in the race because they care. These are going to be the rules. Each candidate would have 1 to 2 minutes to speak to the audience. Then we will have questions. If a candidate mentions the other candidate's name, that candidate would have 30 seconds to respond. I will be timing our candidates to make sure that it's an equitable time for each candidate to respond. At the conclusion, each candidate will have 1 to 2 minutes to close out. Okay? So let's get started. We have the candidates. They're going to introduce themselves, and they're going to tell them a little about themselves. Please.
My name is Maria Garcia. I'm running because I see the disconnection between the government and the people. Because we are disconnected, we are doubtful of holding our representatives accountable. I was born and raised in Mexico City. I know how the result of this connection between the government and the people looks like. It's called corruption and dishonesty. And I'm able to detect this issue here locally. I'm running because my community asked me to run. I am the former president of Don't Shoot Portland. I am the former employee of the Mexican consulate in Portland. I am the co-chair of the New Portlanders Policy Commission and its representative for the Sanctuary City Task Force. And I am a local business owner. And I'm really concerned by the issues that we are facing nowadays. As an immigrant woman, I know the needs of many of our community members, not just the immigrant community, but diverse community. We are being targeted in many different ways, and we need a representation that is knowledgeable of the issues that our communities are facing. So I'm representing a diverse community, and I'm here to do the job and to hold people accountable. I'm here to recognize and detect the bureaucracy and the corruption that is existing in our system. This is a system that is not created for minority. It's not a system that is created for us. So we need to change the narrative. That's why I'm running.
Thank you, Mr. Casella.
Tony, thanks very much for doing the show. It's a great show, and knowing the viewership that you tend to respond to basically on the same level, you are right here, and you are very knowledgeable about District Number 2. Very, very important as far as African Americans are concerned, and then educating the folks here within our district, which is so important. As you know, we've got some really major issues here facing our city right now. Certification is a major factor sitting in this area. It impacts us quite a bit. That's an area that I was very interested in. And then there's a senior citizen element aspect of it, the impact that it has on our senior citizens, on our jobs, our education system. We got one of the largest school districts in the state of Oregon, for that matter, and we got major failure in that system, for that matter. And that's an area also too I'd like to see more voc ed as opposed to something that doesn't give access to our young people an opportunity to survive. So anyway, I'm running because, again, too, I've been here for quite some time, and because I do the show, I'm very familiar with a lot of the issues, because I interview a lot of the issues. I used to be the owner of the Portland Observer newspaper, and I was very much involved in a lot of the issues that were there. I built a senior citizen complex here in North Portland called Walnut Park. I've done that piece. I even had a business that I was providing home ownership, if you will, for low-income folks and just regular folks from the community. Because as a rule, during that particular time, black folks were able to rent but they couldn't buy. So I used my credit, if you will, to give them the opportunity to get into that kind of an environment. But then big businesses come in and all kinds of things happen, if you will. So I'm really excited. I'm excited about these two people that are sitting right and left of me because they do have issues and they got platforms and very worthy platforms that we need to discuss and educate the majority population as to what our real concerns are. So I'm really excited about being a part of the platform here now. Again, I'm concerned about, as Maria indicated, about the corruptions and the issues that we have, that politicians, if you will bring on the table that we're running aspect of right now. And I'm concerned about that, and hopefully I'll be able to share that when as we talk today, because I'm waiting for the other candidate. The other candidate's not here, and that's the political harm of the. I'm concerned about the political aspect of the race in terms of how these folks deal. So
Thank
anyway,
you for your
hopefully I'll
comment.
have some time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tony, and thank you for your audience that is watching this today. My name is Sharon Maxwell, and I am running for District 2 Commissioner because it is time for a real champion. As a business owner, as a mother, as a grandmother, as someone who cares about District 2. District 2 is North Portland from North Portland to 181st, from the Columbia River down to Burnside. For too long, too many people have been getting priced out and pushed out. My agenda and focus is, because I ran for city council in 2014 and received over 20,000 votes from this voting public, that they actually asked me to run again, knowing that I represented their values. I brought those to the forefront and championed those. Right now, what we need is to get the county back to its true mission, and that is prevention and public health. The three areas that I'm going to focus on as commissioner will be mental health, which is so many people experiencing mental health right now, but the service delivery is not working for them. Our public safety, the sheriff, the DA, and our judges, they're receiving over 45% of all county dollars, which is $950 million. Where is that money going? We need to change their model. Right now, they're focused on jailing people and labeling the low income and poor people. I want to make sure that those dollars are actually going for prevention, keeping people out of jails, out of prisons, making sure our families are staying intact. And for the public health, I actually worked as an advisory board member on the public health CHIP federal program to make sure that the county comes into compliance with those federal dollars that they're receiving. I want to make sure that all of our families are having a quality of life in District 2. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The first question will be, we're going to talk about affordable housing. We all know it's an issue right now. We will start with Ms. Garcia first for the first question. If you become part of the city council, how would you address this issue? Affordable housing.
For Monoma County
For
Commissioner.
Monoma County, yes.
Yes. That's something that through my campaign I've seen the issue between people being confused about city council and Monoma County. Monoma County does human services, delivers human services. City council oversees the growth and the infrastructure, right, of the city. So as commissioner, my obligation, my responsibility, and the first thing to do is to make sure that we have people in their house, right? That they're keeping what they call in home. So these are preventive services. We need to make sure that they're able to pay their rent. We have to make sure their kids are in school, that they're eating, that they are healthy, you know. So let's cover all the aspects of health. So housing is, yes, it is a hot topic, but we need to make sure that we have enough funds for these services to be delivered. We have many community partners that are delivering these services or supposed to be delivering these services, but they're limited too. So we need to make sure that people, first of all, know that these services exist: rental assistance, food assistance, health assistance, right? We have to make sure that they know these services exist. We have to make sure that there's enough funding and the hours of services are being extended. from the immigrant perspective, I'm telling you that especially the undocumented community don't have access to these services. I know this very well. And they're part of our community. They're part of our county. And they're renting houses also, and they've been displaced also. Displacement is not just an issue of the African American community, it's the immigrant community at large. So many of our community members don't know these services exist. They're not asking for rental assistance, right? That's a big problem. So we need to promote, the people know the services of Multnomah County. We need to make sure that the community partners are doing their job. They have the right personnel, they have the right hours, they have extended hours of services for the community members that need these services. So funding is important, but oversight, that's what we need. We need to see what these community partners are doing. We need audits. It is very important to do audits. And I know this very well because I'm connected with the Latino community and African American community and African community. So I know they're not getting the help that they need. So we need oversight for this issue.
Thank you. Mr. Bruce? Sorry.
You know, in all due respect, thank you very much. A good question. You know, housing today has gotten to be a health issue. And we see it all around us. It's called homelessness. And it's not really long-term, i.e. like you're buying a piece of property and this, that, and the other from home ownership and whatever. It's a health issue. And we got all these folks that are sitting out there. It's a priority right now because it affects everything. There's, you know, there's mental illness. There's all kinds of things. There's young people, no place to stay, so they're sheltered and the like. And one of the areas that I've been focusing on for quite some time has been the whole issue of Wapato. There's been an argument about Wapato. And I've looked at it kind of as if they're saying it's sort of like a temporary issue aspect of it. We got all these folks that are out there. We don't know just basically what are their backgrounds in terms of why they're sitting there. And my thought was always why don't we pick all these people up and then use this as a temporary vetting system to find out who's on the street, what are their problems. Some people have just kind of walked away from their house, can't pay the bills anymore. Well, maybe we can fix that. Well, some people have just said, well, okay, fine, I just don't feel like paying any more bills. Some people just say, well, gee whiz, I mean, it's just gotten so hard for me, I just can't do this, I can't do that. So we got an issue that we need to resolve, and I think Wapato, to me, would resolve some of that issue. And there was enough space there to do that. And then I think that's a start, because we got many mental illness folks that are on the street. We got rid of Damage some time ago. That was a facility we had out in the Beaverton area, and developers came out there and said, okay, fine, why don't we tear it down and build some big houses, if you will, in that area. And that's what they did. So right now, our welfare housing program is on the streets. And it's really a sad note. And as you note, every so often, we got the situation where some of them are getting shot, and like the other gentleman that just got shot just recently with the police aspect of it. And being, again, that I'm running for the county position, District Number 2, it just really surprised me that now all of a sudden now we've got the sheriff department. I saw a green suit that was part of the shooting of that whole piece.
Thank you, sir.
So anyway, that's
in
good.
fairness,
Okay, good.
Equitable time for each one. Thank you again for your comment. Ms. Maxwell.
So my background is I'm a general contractor, I'm a builder, and I know the history of District 2 as it relates to the housing issue. I know about how people have been priced out, pushed out, how we've had over 300,000 people move to Multnomah County in the city of Portland within the last 5 to 10 years. And the county is the collector of property taxes. And because they are the collector of property taxes, they have the knowledge of what is out there as far as rental properties, landlords. And so what I would do is to work to make sure, first of all, that we do an assessment to make sure that there is a cap on Airbnbs, because that's part of the problem of why we do not have enough rentals available within District 2 and throughout the city of Portland. I would hold the city of Portland, our partner, accountable for the Portland housing dollars as well as Home Forward. Over the years, many landlords refuse to help low-income people who do have Section 8 housing vouchers. And so we need to double down and make sure that we're holding all of our stakeholders and partners accountable for the services that they are delivering to the public, and especially because they're receiving federal dollars. The other thing is that I want to be able to advocate for a housing registry so that we can incentivize our landlords so that they can either build ADAUs, they can actually do upgrades, create a wealth generating platform for their properties. We can have multi-generational families living together, and we can provide incentives for them to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. The next question, that was the Affordable Act, affordable housing piece. Let's talk about the homeless piece. We'll start with Ms. Maxwell.
So my background, once again, when I seen in 1993, when we went through the first housing crisis, that really burdened my heart as a community member, seeing the community destroyed and people without housing needs. And so after I started my construction company, I actually founded the House of Shalom, which is a 30, 60, 90-day temporary emergency transitional housing for families with children, post-incarcerated males who were being excluded under the federal government guidelines, and disabled homeless persons. So I have experience already of working through and providing for people who have been, who are currently houseless and homeless. And what we need is we need to stabilize folks. No one should be living in a tent. No one should be struggling to find a warm, dry place to take a shower. As I've been out in the community canvassing over the last 90 days, I've been actually running into people, and they told me, houseless and homeless people, they said, we just want a dry place to go to, a place where we can shower. So we can be creative as the county. We can convene all of our stakeholders, all of our service delivery, and do an assessment to see who is the expert at providing these type of services.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Broussard.
Well, you know, again, I started out by talking about Wapato aspect of it, and the reason why I did that is there's no such thing as affordable housing because the real estate's all gone.
Okay.
The real estate is gone, and so the bottom line is that with the high techs that's coming in the area, the rentals on those are just ridiculous almost to a certain degree. But hey, it's free enterprise. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and that's the city's responsibility. I mean, they're the one that issues those permits aspect of it. And so I'm still talking along this homeless, how we got to that particular point. But the bottom line is that maybe I have no influence that way, but I am the county. Normally we're representing poor folks. That's our key. The only thing I can do is go to the city and say, hey, look here, we want you to make sure that you provide, when you issue those permits, that you make sure that those rental amounts that you identify for low-income housing to these developers are real-world kind of situations, which they're not doing right now. In fact, I would even suggest to them that they go back and revisit those developments that have already gone up and consider making sure that the numbers fits the people and the concerns that we have from the county standpoint. So whether it be senior citizens, or whether it be just like I say, low income aspect of it, maybe you just say, okay, fine. From now on, we want you to rent it at this level, as opposed to this level. The other thing is that again, I spoke quite a bit on the whole issue of homeless aspect of it, because that's a major issue. But as far as the housing thing on the other end of it, the county basically has the foreclosure deal. They can do the foreclosure piece. And right up front with the developers are going in there with cash money and pick them up. They shouldn't sell any of that property. They should keep that property, refurbish it, if you will, and then they can basically charge whatever they want for that particular piece of property. They're selling property downtown right now. I challenged them at the last commission meeting. The old courthouse. They're getting ready to tear that down. They want to get rid of it, right? Got me? And so there they were. So natural developers just waiting to take it. And so the argument was, well, gee, Bruce, there's seismic this and this, that, and the other. I say, wait a minute. They're not here bidding on that property not to make no money.
Thank you, sir, for your comment.
Okay.
Ms. Garcia.
Homelessness. It is, I think, the hottest topic we have right now. As a business owner, I see the effects of homelessness. And as a community advocate, I can tell you that homelessness has different phases. Some people are being displaced from their houses, right? Some people are going through mental health crisis. Some people are going through addiction. right? Or they have some type of addiction. So there are many stories. Homelessness has different phases, and we need to understand where are these community members coming from. My business is downtown Portland, and I've been in business for about 4 years. And before, once in a blue moon, we get a person with a mental health crisis, right? And we handle that. Now it's happening 2, 3, 4 times a week. And I understand it's a very critical situation. I see it, right? I don't agree to call police to solve this issue. I don't agree to increase police. I believe we need more health workers on the street. I want to make sure that as a business owner, my business is safe, my clients are safe, my employees are safe, and the person with the mental crisis is safe also, because the crisis comes from somewhere. What we see with homelessness is just a reflection of our society, our problems. Lack of connection with our families. We don't have enough services. We have depression. We have addictions. Where are these issues coming from? That's the result of capitalism.
Right.
Too much. Consume this, consume that. And then when you don't have money in your pocket, what are you going to do? Where are you going to run? Who's going to help you, right? So we need to address this issue. I know I'm familiar with it. Short-term, medium-term, and long-term support for different community members that need these services.
Thank you for your comment. The next question would be sanctuary cities. We will start with Mr. Broussard.
Okay. Well, sanctuary city is a major, major, major issue. And when you think about it, when you look at the history of sanctuary city in this state, for that matter, I think when it first started, when in all due respect, when the young people would basically during the summer months trying to pick berries, to pick up berries for the school clothing and things of that nature, and then they made it political. All of a sudden, the legislature came in and said, well, we need to take that out of the way. Well, guess what? The farmers then. Now, all of a sudden, the farmers, who were basically, in all due respect, were employing a lot of folks from the nation right next to us. And it was Mexico. And there was a system there. They'd bring the workers over and basically pick and then basically go back to the deal. But the bottom line is that it was cheaper labor. It was slave labor. Okay? So they just basically, all of a sudden they started enjoying that situation. And then it became more political. And then all of a sudden they got it involved in the national races, if you will. And now all of a sudden you know the farmers are reaping the benefits for slave labor, and so the other end of it wanted to basically, let's register them as voters so I can get my deal. So in most cases the Democrats were doing that piece and the Republicans was on this end. So it got into that situation. They got really, really messed up big time. And the people who were suffering, in all due respect, were the folks, the migrants that were coming here in many ways from Mexico. Because that system, as I understand it, you're either rich or poor over there. And so the bottom line, there's slave labor there sitting there. But to me, Mexico is a very family-oriented business. Catholics and this, that, and the other, very family-oriented. So the next thing you know, in the first election, the Republican Party said, okay, fine, we're going to go on and give them an amnesty. You know, basically, okay, we're going to give them the citizenship. And then the next time around, another citizenship. And then the folks are still coming in because they're saying, just come on. Because I also worked at the embassy for a while to kind of get a feel for what's going on and how they were treating folks, just giving them anything just to come in. So my point is, it's a big mess. And I've made this statement. We got almost about 20 million people. What are you going to do?
Thank you for your comments, sir. Ms. Sharon, Ms. Maxwell.
So as a contractor, I've witnessed a lot of the immigrants because they've come to my company to be able to find jobs and work. I believe that our government is actually using them as a political pawn, that we need to make sure that we are making this law for sanctuary to be really effective. I want to go back just a little bit though, because for the last 35 years, we've had no sanctuary when brown and black males have been targeted and profiled by our Portland police and the DA's office and have been labeled and criminalized. So Portland and Multnomah County are the first perpetrators of harassing people and locking them up. So we have a institutional structural racism problem that has to be addressed immediately by the chair, by the commission, by the city of Portland. And I will be a strong advocate to actually bring this before the sheriff. I've already asked him for a meeting, and the DA as well, because that's what their agenda has been, is labeling low-income immigrants and poor folks. And that is unacceptable in Multnomah County when we say that we are for all people. And I just want to say, today we're actually missing the candidate who's supposed to be here, who is a status quo. She can't even speak to the issue because she's not here. Well, she hasn't been here anyway. She's been missing in action, and no one even knows who she is. And so that's another reason why we actually need to vote someone who's going to be available, accessible, who's not an elitist, who's not being pushed by folks who basically want to keep people impoverished and living in poverty.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell, for your comment. Ms. Garcia.
Yeah, this is a very, it's a topic very close to my heart as an immigrant woman that I am, right? And I was one of the representatives for the Sanctuary City Task Force. We passed a resolution on March 1st. We presented to City Council, and we were asking for legal funds, right? We need support, money. That's what we need. Our families are being torn apart. We have kids that are not going to school because they're afraid of not seeing their parents again. We have teachers that they don't know what to do when this is happening. There's nothing really in place to support our families, to protect them. It costs about between $20,000 to $30,000 to pay bond for a person that is being retained in Tacoma. So what's happening is the families, they're selling their houses. This is a serious problem because it's affecting not just emotionally, but financially, the families. It's creating trauma. This is a health issue also because our community members, they're having diabetes, they're having heart attacks, they're having anxiety. This is a health issue. It's not just, oh, let's get rid of them. No, it's gonna affect our economy. Who's gonna come and pick up and pick, the grapes and the apples and, labor. We're talking about labor. It's gonna affect our economy. So we need to make sure that we continue with the sanctuary status. We have to oppose IP 22 because it's gonna affect all of us. All these community members that think because they're not immigrants and it's not gonna affect them, let's get rid of the Mexicans, let's get rid of South Americans. It's going to affect your pockets one way or another. We have people who take care of elderly seniors, We have our community from Pacific Islanders, who are great caretakers. And, immigrant community brings money, labor, and we are a very vibrant community. We need to support our community. So the sanctuary status has to continue, and we need the support of everybody to continue with the status.
Appreciate your comment. The next question, police reform. We'll start with Ms. Garcia. If you become part of this commission, what would be your first agenda or plans to address police reform in our communities?
As a former president of Don't Shoot Portland, we are anti-police brutality, right? We are familiar with the cases of many African-American young kids being killed by police brutality. There's not accountability. First of all, we need accountability. We need justice, right? We have many families torn apart because of police brutality. And this is an issue, not just the African-American community, but at large. Police has proven over and over again that they're not prepared, they're not trained well, they're disconnected from their communities. So how can we influence that change? I would like to know how we can influence that because I don't think anybody has a solution. The head of the police department is not working with the community, so how can we influence, how can we influence the change? I would like to hold them accountable for what has happened, all these past years, all the deaths of these kids. I would like them to get more probably diversity into their policing. I would like them to get less violent. I will advocate for that, probably, yes. We've been working against their brutality. So it's time that they listen to the community. It's time that they get retrained. It's time that they get connected with our community. They need to understand our background. They need to understand that because we are loud, it doesn't mean that we are aggressive. They need to understand that because physically we have these African American kids who are kids and they're big, it doesn't mean that they're gonna, you know, they're gonna kill them. It means that they're disconnected. They don't understand the way we talk. They don't understand the way we behave, and to them that's violent. I'm sorry, they're disconnected, you know, from the community. They have to be culturally aware of who we are.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Broussard.
Okay, well, as County Commissioner District Number 2, we're really not in the Portland police kind of a situation. You know, the police force that we have in the county are jailers. When the police picks people up, they take them to the jailer, and then they basically go through a temporary housing kind of thing until they go before the judge, and the judge pretty well separates and say, okay, fine, you did a felony or whatever, you did this, and you go down to OSP. Otherwise, you do a short term, you do over here. And they house people on a temporary basis aspect of it. I guess the only comment I would make in regards to the whole issue of law enforcement, as you know, we've got a new sheriff now in town. He was a former chief of police at Portland Police. A little concerned about what he brings to the county along that mindset, because as I indicated before, when I saw this green officer sheriff, i.e. part of the 10 people that shot and killed this homeless guy aspect of it, I was really concerned, because that's not his job. You know, if anything, I could see maybe somebody following up on from a mental illness standpoint, having a mental illness unit that would be actually go to that particular site and then let them be responsible, if you will, for dealing with this individual. They didn't have to shoot that person. That's ridiculous, because the Portland Police Department, in all due respect, and I'm just going to throw this on the side note, they're moving so fast, if you will. You got my point? People are looking for PERS over there. They don't have the skills in the background. I mean, in all due respect, it's been said in many ways that the Portland Police tends to run the city. You've heard that many times over. When I ran for mayor the last time around, we just need a good, strong leadership. You know, if something happens, if it was on my watch, if I was mayor, and something happened that way, boom, it wouldn't be no 48 hours. That people would have to answer it right then and there. And if they didn't answer it, then guess what? Take me to jail. You know, you take us to court, but you will go to jail right now. But my point is that we lack the leadership on that end of it. But as far as the county is concerned, I'd like to see law enforcement, as far as the sheriff is concerned, to counter some of the things from mental illness, that they would put together this unit where they would be called upon to deal with mental illness issue, which is a major concern that we have today.
Thank you, sir, for your comment. Ms. Maxwell?
So, seeing that I'm a native of Portland and of District 2, I know the history of Portland Police, and I also have been a past COAB member, which is the Community Oversight Advisory Board for the Department of Justice Settlement Agreement. And in that seat that I sat for the implementation of that settlement agreement, we understand that the Department of Justice brought the suit against the Portland Police for excessive use of force and killing unarmed mental health people. So we have a new mayor now, which I believe is executing his plan of what he feels will bring a change to the culture as Portland Police Commissioner, and we have a new chief. I believe that what we have to make sure of as a county commissioner, that we are holding the city and the Portland Police accountable to implement changes based on the data. We need to make sure that the data that is being collected is actually analyzed through the dashboard. What I have heard is that Ms. Amanda Lamb, now who created the dashboard for the county, is working for the Portland Auditor's Office. And so the auditor just released a report that states that the Portland Police were continuing to profile young people at an excessive rate. So we have to make sure that the chief is actually implementing real measures and benchmarks that will bring about results, because the people want, first of all, accountability, they want transparency, and as county commissioner, I am very concerned, as Mr. Broussard has said, that we have the sheriff who used to be the chief of police.
Thank you for your comment. The next question would be, we'll start with Mr. Bruce Broussard. The question would be, as county commissioner, if you're elected, how do you feel about holding community forums? How long, how many times a month, if a month, and what do you think that you would benefit from them?
Well, in all due respect, I've been doing it for about 25 years on my Oregon Voters Digest talk show like yourself, Tony, because that's what we do. We discuss issues. And if I'm elected to that particular seat, I will continue to do that. And I will dedicate at least one day a month just talking about issues from the county's perspective. And then dovetailing those things like on city issues, state issues, or whatever that has impact, if you will, on the county. And I think that's very, very important. And I would I would recommend that on an ongoing basis to all the other commissioners, because from what I've seen and going before the commissioners of late, looking at that office aspect of it, that's one of the problems they have is communications. They've got institutional racism over there now. I mean, it's huge. It is huge. They don't know their employees. In all due respect, they're fighting among themselves. Commissioners are getting there. They're using the B word every day of the week. When you get the chair of a commission, they don't even recognize the seats that the people that they represent. I mean, they're getting all personal. So we got institutional racism and whatever. And when you start communicating, educating, and informing, and Tony, you understand where I'm coming from. That's why you do what you do, to educate the people. That's what we do here. Got me? So no, I will continue to do that on an ongoing basis, once a month, and then at the same time doing the other interviews that dovetail other things that would have impact on the deal, which is very important.
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Garcia?
As a community advocate, I know that we cannot wait for once a month meetings. You know, we need to have the constant communication once a week. After work hours are important. Part of my platform is to break the political disenfranchisement that our communities are suffering. I'm talking about all communities, right? Because we work 2-3 jobs. We're not able to go to the morning meetings, right? We have kids. What do we do with our kids? We don't speak the language. What do we do? That's part of the problem, political disenfranchisement. Mm-hmm. It has to do with language. It has to do with excess of work. It has to do with family responsibilities. So we need to make these meetings accessible to our communities. We have to move to go where the community is, because unfortunately the people that are needing or receiving the services that Multnomah County delivers, they're not coming to the building. That's a joke. You know who can come to the meetings? Those people that either are retired, and all respect for that, but they have the time and the ways to probably get the babysitter or probably skip an hour from work. You know, that's a privilege that our communities don't have, because you have to probably take the bus. You have to, I mean, it's money. It's all about money. So when we're talking about political disenfranchisement, it's because we don't have the ways or access to really communicate with our leaders. Leaders have to go to where the community is. And you need to go and get forums and be creative. Be creative. Go and talk to the people. You really want to connect with the people? Be creative. Go to where the people is. Change your hours. In my perspective, it will be after work. After 6, because that's traffic hours. But, you know, after 6, 7 different neighborhoods, having multilingual people available. We need to speak the language of the people. We're talking about a very diverse community. So if we want change, we need to establish connections, we need to communicate, we need to go to where community is so we can be familiar with their issues and really give straight answers to their questions.
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Maxwell?
So let me just first of all say that this is not a heavy lift for me because as a business person, I've already been out in the marketplace. I'm already connected to the history and to the people, and I will represent all of District 2 from North Portland to 181st, from the Columbia River down to Burnside. And with that said, I've already, for the last 4 years since I ran for city council, I've been out on a weekly basis meeting with over 150 people from the community, having the opportunity to have those 5, 10, 20, 30-minute conversations. So my annual plan is to have town halls and forums, but I was actually an advisory committee member on the county's CHIP federal plan, which the strategic plan was adopted over 2 weeks ago by the county. And so with the public health department, I will work to make sure that we are using our public service announcements to get out messaging to the community and through our stakeholders and organizations that already have spoken to the county on the strategic plan of what it takes actually to give 100% and the best service delivery to our communities that have been neglected. That is one of the reasons why I am running, is to change that narrative and to make sure that there is an advocate, a voice of the people there at the county so that we change how we actually do business, focusing on prevention, not intervention in crisis, but lifting up our families, making sure that they all have a quality of life.
Thank you for your comment. The next question, my guests, feel free, if you'd like to ask the candidates a question, feel free, okay? Go ahead, we have a question.
Hi, I'm Dr. Terrell. I'm president and CEO of the Dr. Audrey Terrell Institute, and I work with youth. I would just, as I listen to you with some fabulous, you've got the experience. I think you'll do well. I pray God you got the positions, because right now it's about action. Mm-hmm. It's all about action. So the question I'm going to put before you, mm-hmm. in your mindset, if you take the position first thing Monday morning, what have you got in your mindset to plan, to put in place to get these youth? Because I'm a senior, I'm a retired, I got mine, but it hurts just to see what they're doing to them. And the sad part about it, the youth are watching you, mm-hmm. how we handle situations, and a lot of us is not making good decisions. We're not saying the right things. When you call somebody the B word, and the kids are looking at you, they says, I don't want to be a judge. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a commissioner. I don't want to sit on the city council. If they're going to talk like that, my friends don't even talk to each other like that. So the example, the integrity and character, that's one thing that I hope you portray on your position. But also, well, how can we find a closer way to work with our youth? Early. Don't wait till they get seniors in high school. And then we got another issue of trying to get them, and then getting them jobs, hands-on. And one last thing, and as I was listening to you about setting up some kind of forums, I'm a retired executive from the United Auto Workers in Detroit. I headed the UAW Women's Department, 250,000 women. One thing I've learned, if I didn't learn nothing else, whenever you trying to listen to the community or listen to your group, make it as diverse as possible. Ethnicity, age, academically, because you bring all of that to one table. And you can listen as often as you like, once a week, once a month, or whatever. But you get so much out of it, especially from these intelligent youth. I work with them all the time, and I just sit there and say, my God, y'all were listening and you're watching. And they want to be like us.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank
Do you have a question for them?
No, I was just asked, what do they have? Say you take office first thing Monday or whatever to do to affect the lives of our youth.
Thank you for your question. We'll start with Ms. Garcia first.
Yeah, thank you. As a former president of Longshore Portland, we created this Children Arts Council. And what we do is we teach kids, and together with different partners like PNCA and Portland Art Museum. We need kids to learn about art. We need kids to learn how to express, what they're feeling, what they're living, but at the same time, we need them to be engaged. We need to We need them to understand what's going on around them, because they see racism, because they see abuse, because our families are so diverse, and these kids are extremely intelligent, right? And we are underestimating our own kids. So what we decide to do is work with them, empower them, teach them about art. To me, my dream will be to have a cultural center in this district where we have our kids learning basic skills, learning how to cook, learning about the diversity, the beauty of our colorful diversity, gastronomy, apprenticeship workshops, right? Why not? What's wrong with it? Kids have to learn, right? They're hungry to learn, not just to be playing video games. We need to nurture them, and we are not giving them enough. That's why they're engaging in gangs. I go to McLaren. I have friends coming from McLaren. I go to visit, and I advocate for different people incarcerated. I see that they're very talented. I see the work that they do. They come up with poetry, with beautiful painting, with graffiti, you name it. They're talented. Our kids are talented, but we don't give them enough information. We don't give them safe places where they can come and gather and be who they are. But at Don't Shoot Portland, we start doing that. And we've seen the result. These kids from 4 years old to 21 years old, they're very aware of their surroundings. They know about their rights, but they have this attachment now for art. That's important. Art is a safe way of expression, and we don't have enough of that. So I would like to be able to bring this into the county, cultural awareness and more awareness about art, engagement in art. That's important. Our kids need that.
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Maxwell.
So first of all, let me just say that as a business owner, I actually started Y2ABC, Youth and Young Adult Being Connected, which is a summer youth work program, the same model that is funded by the county presently and the city of Portland through the Bureau of Environmental Services. Part of my platform is that we need to stabilize our families so that our families, mothers and fathers, actually have the economic stability to be able to role model for their children, as well as making an investment. We need to be able to make sure that our children are connecting their education to their career future. And with the Summer Works program that we actually have going on right now, we need more of that, connecting our young people to apprenticeship programs. That's what the program did. I actually wrote a book, and I'm not promoting it, but the fact that our young people aren't seeing themselves in the future, we actually have to re-engage them so that they're having extracurricular, academic excellence, as well as civic engagement. And as we do that and make sure that from the schools to the home, there's a partnership, and the county, which over the years has gone away, which I've been saying the whole time, from prevention, we need to get back to prevention, making sure that our young people and our families are not falling down and falling through the cracks, but putting the investments up front so that as they move forward, they're actually building a healthy lifestyle.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Broussard.
Okay, quickly, as you note, our present commissioner, Loretta Smith, who's going to be running for city council, she pretty well put together a summer youth program. And in many ways, that I only saw a summer program for jobs just for that moment. I'd like to see that transition into voc ed. I mean, we had Sun School also too. I'd like to see those kids get into an environment where, like a voc ed aspect of it, like auto mechanics or carpentry or ironwork or things of that nature. Because what happens is that's a motivation to learn the read, write, and arithmetic. That'll force them to get there to understand. Because if you can't read, write, and whatever, you're in pretty bad shape. You got to be able to communicate, and you got to be able to comprehend. So I'd like to take that batch of kids and transition that batch, because we don't want to lose that. The funding base is already there. So I want to make sure we keep that, but transfer that to the Portland Public Schools, and now we can come up with a vocational education aspect of it, as opposed to a pre-apprentice. because it's kind of interesting how the unions have used the word pre-apprentice when we came up in the affirmative action, but they've only gone to the trade school. You see what I'm saying? There's no such thing as pre-apprentice.
Right.
It's apprentice, you get right into the trade. So that's going to be one of the focus that I'm going to hit right up there. Because I'm tell you right up front with, it's going to be hard for whoever wins that seat because we don't have the vote. You got to almost use what you got. We don't have the vote. They've already voted for the party that isn't here today. Between the business community and some of the political sides of the unions, and in all due respect, I'm just being just blunt with you, the party doesn't even have any background whatsoever with the issues that we're plagued with, and as opposed to the people that are sitting right here. That's why I wish she was here today. I'm not talking about her more than I'm talking about the system. The system is the problem. It's not her personally. It's what she represents. That's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Candidates, we have 3 minutes left. I'm going to permit each one of you to give a 1-minute scenario, your platform, and what you'd like the voters to know about you. Mr. Broussard, we'll start with you. We'll go to Ms. Sharon, and then we'll end up with Ms. Garcia.
All I will say is that I've been here in this area about 40 years. I've been doing communication, if you will, and education and interviewing the issues for about, I'd say about 25 years or so. I've built senior citizen housing. I've been in the housing business. I've been in the newspaper business. I've run for office in 5 different occasions. And in fact, that was a quick study to understand what this state was all about and what the issues were about. And so I think I could be very, very effective sitting in that seat and really forcing the issue, because in all due respect, again, like I said before, that seat, we get to that seat, either one of us get to that seat, it's going to be a tough job. And in all due respect, if I do get that seat, I've got 2 people be right on staff right off the bat. I will mentor these young people right off the bat. They'll be on my staff, so we'll keep going, because they're going to need somebody like me, and hopefully they'll look at me from the standpoint of being on the staff, because I can handle the senior citizen, I can handle the veteran, and I can handle the male part, because they don't have any men on that big. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Maxwell.
I'm invested. I'm bringing my track record of results, of proven history in the community. I'm connected as a union member, as a signatory contractor. I've helped our seniors. I've helped our families. I've helped our young people. I have made sure that people in this community have not been left behind economically. I'm bringing that with 100% advocacy to County Commission. Thank you. And I'm asking for your vote May 15th.
Ms. Garcia.
Yes. I know what it is to be undocumented. I know what it is to work up to 3 jobs and not being able to be the parent I wanted to be for my daughter. I'm very familiar with that. I have endured domestic violence. I had a really intense life, but I'm not trying to be a victim. I want you to know that I'm familiar with the issues. I know what it is to be down. I know what it is to be up. And my goal right now is to serve people that understand really, I understand that the issues, I need you to understand that even though I have gone through these situations in my life, I have overcome these obstacles. I am a successful business owner. I'm getting politically engaged because I've seen the result of not being engaged. And we are being attacked. When I say we, I'm saying all of us, all of us. I'm running a platform of human rights. Our human rights are being violated everywhere we look at it, every aspect of it. So we need people that are familiar with the issues. Maria Garcia, May 15, I will be honored to serve you. Thank you.
Give our candidates a hand.